Hello everybody, here's our worthy wonderings for this week. I'm wondering if you've ever come across verses from the Bible in unexpected places. Let me give you an example. I've got here a golden syrup tin, and here on the tin is a lion and the bees, and it says, out of the strong came forth sweetness. And it's a quote from the book of Judges and in the story of Samson. There it is on the golden syrup tin. I wonder if you've come across Bible verses in other unexpected places. Here's another example. You'll know that football clubs have their songs, don't they? Liverpool, perhaps the most famous, You'll Never Walk Alone. But West Bromwich Albion, if you watched or get a chance to look at them playing during COVID when there were no people on the terraces, you'll see across the stand are the words, "The Lord is my shepherd." And at West Bromwich Albion, every time they score a goal, the fans sing part of Psalm 23. It's not quite clear why. One story is that back in 1974, during the miners' strike, some games were played on Sundays because they couldn't use the floodlights. And because the game was being played on Sunday, some supporters thought they'd sing a psalm and it stuck. Another story is that some fans found a hymn book on a bus and sang some of the hymns, and it was Psalm 23 that was the favourite. Strange, isn't it? Have a look on YouTube and you'll see West Bromwich Albion fans singing Psalm 23. Perhaps not how you might be used to hearing it. They have their own style. Of course, Psalm 23 has appeared this year at the Chelsea Flower Show. The Bible Society have had a Psalm 23 garden, and they won a gold award. Isn't it amazing that Psalm 23, a poem, lyrics of a song written hundreds of years ago, still resonates in some way and is still sung in all sorts of contexts? I wonder if the lyrics of an Ed Sheeran song or lyrics from the Beatles will still be being sung in 2,000 or 3,000 years' time. That psalm has some phrases in it, some ideas in it that are very helpful. Let me pick up on a couple of phrases. The Lord is my shepherd. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. It's asking us to imagine sheep in the presence of the shepherd, and they're there in a restful place, a peaceful place, beside quiet waters. And there they are, resting peacefully still with the shepherd with them. It's inviting us to think about where we find that kind of stillness and quietness and place of rest in the busyness of our lives. It's encouraging us to escape the kind of culture of busyness, the franticness of life. Find a quiet space to rest in the presence of God, to rest in the presence of God's love. And it says that if we can find that kind of place of quiet and rest, and put that into our lives, then that will be a place where our souls will be restored. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. And then as we go further into the psalm, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. And here's the sheep. You can imagine if the sheep could think and speak, maybe they'd say, well, why have you brought us this way? Why couldn't we stay by those quiet, still waters? Why couldn't we stay in that restful place? But of course, life isn't like that, is it? And we find ourselves in different circumstances, sometimes in dark circumstances. And maybe you find yourself now in a dark valley, perhaps a dark valley of illness or anxiety, a dark place of sadness, or experiencing the grief of losing a loved one. The psalm encourages us to remember that when our circumstances change, there's something that doesn't change, but God is with us in the dark times, just as he is in the good times. And that if we can trust in his presence with us, we can find some relief from our fear. We can find some comfort in knowing that he is with us and that his love for us hasn't changed. Our circumstances may have changed, but God's being with us and for us and his love haven't changed. So I'd invite you this week to reflect on Psalm 23 and to particularly reflect on those two ideas of, in the franticness and busyness of life, to find a quiet space, to make time to rest in God's presence, to rest in God's love. And if you're going through one of those dark valleys, to remember that God isn't far away watching us from a distance, that you're not alone, that God is with you in that dark place, and his love for you hasn't changed. He is there, and he does care for you. So a short prayer. Loving God, help us to find peace and rest in your presence, in your love. And help us to know that in the dark time we're going through, that you are with us and that your love for us is full and strong, that your love for us hasn't changed, even though our circumstances just now are hard. Amen.